Ever ask yourself why so many of your leads and sales opportunities come in and seem to go nowhere? You give them your best pitch, you put on your best smile, you answer everything that you possibly think you need to tell them about the product and the service, and then nothing, nada, nowhere. Well, I'm going to tell you exactly what that problem is. You failed to build a relationship with that customer. And at some point, like any other failed relationship, there's a breakup coming. And when that breakup comes, you're not going to hear the typical, oh, it's not you, it's me. Trust me, in this case, it's not them, it's you. Hey everybody, I'm Jim with Selling Decoded, where we break down sales into processes at every level and every step of the way. No matter what you're selling, it's about one thing: processes and communication. Without those two things, nothing gets sold. So today we're going to talk about one of the most important reasons people decide to make a purchase, and that is relationships. There's been studies done that show that people decide to buy when they like somebody, and it increases the odds of that sale by upwards of 70%. That is a massive tilt in your favor if you take the time, stop, and build a relationship with your client before you push all your pitches and product and sales things. And there's, as always, a process to that, and we're going to break that down today. But this is a problem almost all salespeople experience, either whether they're starting out or if they've found some moderate level of accomplishment in their sales journey or their sales career. They seem to always run past the very important step of building a relationship and the process of how to do that. Now, we don't have time today to go over the entire process if we went to the granular level of how to do this successfully in various types of sales situations. But the basics are everything you need to understand to get started, and you can put these steps and this mindset into work today to help increase your sales. I've always compared this to like a baseball player that's in a slump. You know, they make the team, they get up to bat, and then they strike out. Then they strike out again. Then they strike out again. And they just start to get that 1,000-yard stare when they step up to the plate. They're looking at the pitcher. They're hearing the crowd. They're thinking, this is my chance. I'm going to get out of this slump. They start to stare down that pitcher. The ball comes. And they're holding that bat just a little too tight. And they swing. They don't swing. Next thing you know, strike three, they're out of there. And salespeople tend to do the same thing. They feel that slump. They feel like they've had 6 ups and nothing hasn't come of it. They're worried about their quota, their commissions. They're worried about feeding their family. They're worried about losing their job. They're worried about getting sent down to the minors, whatever it might be. And they start to make bad decisions. They start to rush through the sale thinking, I got to give them my best pitch. I got to give them my best product. I got to show them this. I got to show them how much we can do for them. Now, these core disciplines are real simple. We're not going to start with 100 things. We're just going to start with a couple micro processes that are in that process of building a relationship. It's the seed that you plant in the beginning that you're going to develop through the course of the sale. Now, if you're in a more complex sale, you'll have more time to develop these micro processes and get more detailed in them as you build a deeper relationship. Generally, the longer the process, the bigger the commitment, the higher the price tag. So that's a normal thing. But if you don't plant that seed in the beginning, if you don't have a process to establish that from the beginning, you're not going to make it halfway through where you can really start to develop that relationship deeper and deeper. But if you're dealing with something like a smaller ticket sale, I won't call it an impulse item, but something that doesn't require as long of a commitment to the sales process, generally you just need a couple little details, little micro processes to seal that deal, build that relationship, and work towards getting the commitment to the sale. If you're wondering if this applies to you, it does. Think about your barista if you're a coffee nut. Generally, you have someone that you like to order your coffee from. It doesn't necessarily mean you're going to not stop there and get coffee, but you might order a little more. You might spend a little more time at the counter. You might tip a little more. Somehow, that relationship is what's driving that sale. Just like if you go to a restaurant and you have a good rapport with your wait staff. You're going to tip a little more. Now, it may not change what you order. Sometimes it can. That's a whole nother lesson we'll go over for the service industry. But it does reflect how you leave a tip. And that is a sale. That is a result of that sales process, all based on that relationship. So no matter what you sell and what you do, great or small ticket, this is the number one factor that's going to dictate the success or how successful that sale is. So first things first, it's easy to give you the recipe, but I want to point out the flaws, because when you can self-identify a flaw in your process, then you can insert the correction to it a little better. So tell me if this is you. Raise your hand when I run through this list if any of these are something that you go, ooh, I do that, or yeah, that sounds like me. First, you dive right into that product. You shake hands, you get their name. Again, pet peeve, remember that name. You shouldn't have to ask twice. And then you dive directly into products, services, what we can do, how great our company is. You're in the right place. No, that's definitely a problem. That's a telltale sign that you're skipping the first process, which is building that relationship. The other one is you can't stop talking. Uncomfortable silences make you uncomfortable, and you try to fill that void with just talk, 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 talk. Sometimes it's not about product or service. Sometimes you're just trying to fill space with small talk, and we can all spot uncomfortable small talk. If that's you, this process means, or lack of process means, you are not building the relationship. The other one that is real easy to identify is people kind of blow you off. You make the introduction, you try to give them a little bit of quick service about what the company does or what they're in here for, and they blow you off. This is mainly for like showroom type situations, but this can also apply to email correspondence, phone correspondence, and it's usually met with, you know what, we're just going to look around a little bit, and they kind of just keep you at arm's distance. That's a bad sign. That means there's no relationship rapport at all, and they're not interested in it from the very onset, and that's a deeper problem, but easy to identify and easy to correct. If you can't correct it, there's going to be a video specifically for that one thing in the future. But just identify if that's you. We need to work on your relationship building from the handshake, from the initial introduction on, and that can be a lot of different things. The biggest one, which we've all dealt with and left a scratch on our head, is when someone disengages mid-pitch. You've made the introduction, you've got them through a few things, and then all of a sudden they just don't want to talk to you. They're like, you know what, we're going to get back to you on this. We're going to have to look around or talk offline about this. That's a huge problem. That means you have really broken that relationship in a negative way. You've built a relationship, you just have built a bad one, and that's something we need to identify. And again, we'll cover in a later video. And then this one is that 70%. You get them through the entire process. You've maybe gone out and done an estimate, get them there, you've shown them the product, service, and you get them to the end of the line, and they just won't buy, and you don't know why. They just won't make that commitment. That is a relationship problem. That is that 70% showing that, okay, they're not comfortable enough to buy from you because they don't like you enough. And we're actually going to dive into that problem here, because it kind of is a blanket for everything else, or a blueprint for what this process should look like. But if you're getting people to the end of the sale where you just don't know what else to do for them and they're not buying, it's because they're not comfortable telling you what they don't want or what they don't like about what you're offering. They're not comfortable in the relationship to offer that information to you. But this list goes on, but they're all generally these core values or these core issues that I just laid out. So again, they're not buying because they didn't connect with you initially. And I'm going to give you an example here that's going to paint a good picture for you. Have you ever asked someone something really personal in a crowded room, where you lean in and whisper in their ear and then go a few steps away to have the answer whispered back in your ear? Of course you have. We've all done that at some point. Now, have you ever done that to a perfect stranger? No, of course you haven't. Why? Because with someone you've built a relationship where you can ask them something personal and they're going to answer it back. With a stranger, you don't ask something personal to a perfect stranger because you don't have that relationship and it's none of your business and they really don't trust you enough to even give you the answer if they were curious why you were asking. So it's the same thing with a sale. You can't ask somebody why they have a problem with the product that you're showing them or if they don't trust you. A new sale is a stranger when they walk in the door. You can't have someone come in that wants to give you money and expect them to be willing to answer the things that you need to ask to give them the best service to get them to make the sale. You have to build that relationship. And it's a small relationship. You're not asking for lifelong commitment. You're not asking to be best friends, invite them to your wedding. No, you're just simply making sure that they understand that you are there for them. Remember in a previous video, I talked about customer service mindset, not a sales mindset. When you approach someone with a customer service mindset from the beginning, it's empathetic. You're establishing a relationship that says, I am here to help you. I want to understand why you're here, what your problem is, what your concerns are, so that we can help get you to the solution. That's the type of relationship we're talking about. And that can be done really simple from the onset. Once again, you just need to establish that relationship from the beginning. You'll develop it throughout the sale based on what you're selling, how long that sales process is. So think of it like this. A friend or a casual acquaintance, you've developed those skills in life to just understand where you stand with them. But if you don't have those same skill sets applied to a new customer when they walk in the door, you're asking questions that are making them break contact in the middle of a sale, ask you to just give them some time while they just kind of look around. All those things that I pointed out early on all relate to the comfortable nature of the relationship, if you've established it or if you haven't. And they all lead back. If you haven't established that relationship, they all lead back to those points of contact where they break it off, where they won't commit to the close, where they won't tell you why they won't close, why they want to look around without you, why they just leave, why they just stop halfway. All those things are related to that initial relationship that you did or did not build. So in sales, you can't expect to ask a customer qualifying questions and get honest and real answers unless you've established that true trust and connection from the very beginning. Now, I'm not saying you have to take a customer to Vegas, spend the weekend there, build a trust tree that you can keep all your deepest, darkest Vegas secrets there that should stay in Vegas. No, I'm just simply saying in the first few minutes, you need to ask simple questions and find simple common ground that you can base and establish a starting point for that relationship. And it can be something as simple as, you hate spiders? I hate spiders. And with that one thing, I have and can show you how to build a relationship that will close a sale and build a long-lasting relationship that will go on and on and on. Now, I can only do that because of, wait for it, I have a process. So if the question that you're asking should be able to cut to the bone and not destroy the relationship or the sale when you ask it, you should have a comfort level that the relationship is strong enough that you can ask whatever it is you need to ask to move that sale forward or fix whatever is holding the sale back. So just remember, when someone's comfortable enough to answer these questions to you honestly and with some enthusiasm or comfort level, that means you've established a relationship and they like you. And remember, people are 70% more likely to buy when they like you. So this relationship process is imperative to the success of your sale. Now, remember what I said in the beginning. There are a lot of layers to building a relationship with a customer. It has to do with the amount of money they're spending, the amount of time it naturally takes for this particular process, how much competition there is, how you have to go about the sale, how many people you have to sell to. All these things add complexity to that process. But what I just shared with you is the very basic. Establish a simple relationship from the beginning. Find one thing and move on. Ideally, that one thing should be something that when you find that common ground, that person talks about it a little more than you talk about it. If it's common ground, let them get excited about it. And if it's just something simple as spiders and you move on, just wait until the next opportunity to find something that you have common ground on, or just simply something that you're interested in that maybe that customer is very interested in. Maybe you're a cat person, but they have dogs and they love their dogs. And when you talk about dogs, they talk a lot about their dogs and they get excited. They're sharing something they're passionate with you. And that's establishing a relationship as well. It doesn't have to be common ground, but it has to be something that you're interested in, that they are very interested in. You want that telltale sign is that they are talking more about it than you're asking them or prodding them to talk about it. That's when you know you've opened up something between the two of you that they feel comfortable sharing and they're excited about sharing it with you. So again, remember, all this is based on processes. So each episode at Selling Decoded, I am going to decode a sales problem and then show you a process that's going to help you overcome it. And as you start to develop more and more processes through this channel, you're going to have more and more success in your sales overall. So stay tuned. Do me a favor, like, subscribe, leave a comment, ask a question. I'd be happy to answer anything that you may be experiencing in your sales processes now, or something that's holding up a particular sale that you're going through and you could use a little help trying to figure it out. Just follow along. We're going to be posting a lot of content in here on a steady basis. I don't want this drinking from a fire hose. I want you to be able to digest each one of these steps. So just remember, this step is establish a relationship. In the first few minutes, you need to establish some sort of connection and common ground to be able to move forward with the sales process. There was a list of questions in here that would self-identify where you may be jumping past this, or the things that manifest and break a sale down that show you that it's not working, that you missed this step in the process. But it's a simple, basic formula you need in the beginning. Just establish one common thing in the first few minutes, and then we're going to build off of that, just like you're going to build your relationship off of with your customers. So I'm Jimmy with Selling Decoded. Hope you guys get out there and sell. I'm going to stay here and decode everything for you.